that program. If it doesn't work, you might want to re-download it, which is what Nathan did. So if everyone could just type the print parentheses, quotation mark, hello world, exclamation mark, quotation mark, parentheses. And then we can explain how it works and then move on to learning about variables and data types. Sri, did you get to IDLE yet? All right. Did you do the hello world function yet? All right. So as you can see on this slide, we're printing. We do this function on the bottom of the slide. So we type print hello world into the IDLE and then press enter. So right here. I see that Nathan finished. Has anyone else done it yet? All right. Yes, so if you finish, press the thumbs up reaction. Which should be around participants. All right, but I'm gonna move on for now because I think pretty much everyone's done that. Print is a function that displays your message that was in the parentheses. And it also ignores the quotation marks. We'll explain what the quotation marks mean later. Yep, Alan, that's right. So now we'll talk about variables. If you want, you can follow along by typing all of these commands into your shell. But basically what a variable is you store a value 5 to your variable x, and then you print it over here. Alright, so just type x equals 5 into your shell, press enter, and then type y equals quotation mark hello world quotation mark, and this should just print out the values that you stored in your variables. Right, so print x, this variable that was stored in x was 5. So basically what you're doing is you're displaying the message 5. When you say print y, hello world was stored in y. So then you display the message hello world. I'll run idle right now, right? So what we were just doing was, y'all can see this shell, right? Oh, you can't see it? All right. All right, here it is. So I did x equals 5, right? So we stored the value of 5 into x, and then we go hello world. So now we want to display our variables x and y. And then what it actually does is it displays the values inside of them. All right, now that everyone's more responsive. So now we're going to move on to the different types of data. So there are many different types of data. You have strings, which was the hello world we had before. And these strings usually have text with quotation marks that are either single or double quotation marks. In addition to strings, you also have numbers like the number 5. And then a new type of data is the list. And lists are very useful. We'll talk about them later in the course. But basically, you have brackets around some values that have commas. So here you have the number 5, comma, hello world, comma. Here you have 1.234, another string. You can have a list in a list. And then when you print your list, it'll display the brackets along with it. So there are a lot of other types of data, but these are the main ones we'll talk about for now and later in the course. So now we'll talk about a common error. So you can name your variables anything you want, but what you cannot do is name it with a number in the beginning. You can't have any special characters like a dash or exclamation mark. And then the error it will give you is a syntax error. And if everybody could try this by typing it into their shell, that would be great. And as you can see, when I try to print these variables, it just doesn't work. But one special underscores that do work, one special character that does work is the underscore. Thanks to Eric for telling us about this. So let's say you want to have a variable that's multiple words. Usually we won't have too long of a variable name because it will take too long to type. So like my variable is cool. Right, so that one will work. All right, Nathaniel, so we're basically talking about all the different kinds of bad variables. So as you can see on the screen, here are just like a big group of different kinds of bad variables. You can't start a variable with a number. You can't put any special characters in it other than the underscore. And other than that, that's pretty much it. once everyone is finished with this practice, type done into the chat again. But I think you guys probably have the hang of it. All right, so the next one is about converting data types. So here we have a bunch of different data types. So quotation mark 5, quotation mark in this first line. That's a string, right? Because it's text with quotation marks around it. So then but the 5 is a regular integer or a number. So if we use this function, which is int, we can convert 5 into a integer. And then here, 5 is just a regular number on the second line. But then if we use the string function or str, then it turns into the class string. Once you're finished with all of the stuff on the screen, type done. Before we end the class, I'm going to talk about how the compiler works. So basically, actually no, it's not a compiler, it's an interpreter. So when you downloaded Python, what happens in the shell is that you type this code into the shell, right? So you type this code into the shell, and then what happens is the Python program interprets it into a language that the computer can understand. And then the computer does all of the hard work. It processes everything, figures out what you're trying to do, and then it sends back this information to be displayed. So today's class is kind of short because it's just an introductory class. And that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, you can stick around at the end of class, or you can contact our emails, which are at the bottom of the screen. Also, if you have any questions, you can just type into the chat. All right, so the next classes will definitely be longer because we won't have everyone trying to download Python in the beginning of class. Eric asked int versus float function. So I was just gonna this class was just a beginning course, so I wasn't gonna move on to float.